Good afternoon.
Good
So this
afternoon.
is Drew Ellison.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
back in the day, I was known as Andy E because it's Andrew Ellison. No drug puns intended, you know what I mean? Even though there may be a little bit of truth.
And you came recommended by Jay Reardon. He said to get in touch with you.
Lovely guy. With Jay, as well as you know, spent a little bit of time at Eastern Bloc.
Yeah.
But he didn't get paid. He got paid in vinyl, which is typical Jay.
Did Jay work at Eastern Bloc?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He worked there off and on for about, I don't know, 9 months, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he didn't get paid in money. He got paid in vinyl.
He got paid in records, yeah.
He asked to be paid in vinyl, yeah.
Could he take as much as he wanted, or was it?
Pretty much, yeah. And yeah, let's just say that me and Guy used to help him out a bit. So, that's completely on the record. But I mean, John's cool. Martin Price was cool. Yeah. Mick Power was cool. And they were the three owners, as you know.
Yeah.
And they were all cool. I mean, they were coining it in. The biggest shop in Manchester at the time.
So it took over from... Well, it did really, didn't it? It took over from spinning for house music.
It did.
Or was it on an even, do you think?
I mean, spinning, all the DJs that came into Eastern Bloc also went to spinning.
Yeah.
Because they might have got some promos in that we didn't get and vice versa.
Yeah.
So the DJs were smart back in the day. I'm not saying they're not now, but your Jon Da Silvas and your Sashas and your Mike Pickerings and your Jays and Justin Robertson, who worked there anyway.
Yeah.
But Weatherall used to come up a lot from London.
Yeah.
And he was a fantastic character as well. Really lovely man.
When did you start working in Eastern Bloc?
I started at the end of 88.
Yeah.
Because I was busy in 1988. I think most youngish people in Manchester were busy in 1988.
Yeah.
With Blackburn and Hacienda and things like that. So 4-day weekend, easy.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. And then I started working there. Interestingly, I moved into the shared house in Bolton with Mick Power, who's one of the owners there. And Martin used to come round all the time. And him and John and Mick interviewed me for Eastern Bloc. Totally off the record. Totally sort of, I'd got the job, but they just wanted a bit of a giggle about it. Martin Price, I'll never forget this. He was one funny character, Martin. Yeah. And he said, okay, final question. You see an old lady get knocked down in the street, what do you do? And me, just because I knew Martin, I go over and rob a bag. And he went, you've got the job. And that was it then, But I knew I got it anyway because I used to be in a band called Twang really early on in Manchester. So I could bring a few people in because of that as well. Not that they needed. I mean, we were rammed 5 deep every single day in the old shop and then more so in the new shop at first.
I don't know much about Twang. Were they?
They were an indie band in Manchester, sort of. We put our first flexi disc out on Debris magazine. Dave Haslam's magazine.
Yeah.
And then we got 3 John Peel sessions after that, and then we split up because musical differences. House music was by 87 was bigger than what we wanted from indie, and I was already looking to, you got your Jack the Body, Steve Sill Hurley and stuff like that in 87. It was like, this is for me, this.
Yeah.
And so everything, all the trappings that went with that, sort of, I imbibed in.
Yeah.
And so Eastern Bloc was a natural progression. And everybody that worked at Eastern Bloc used it as a stepping stone. Everybody. Nipper worked there.
Yeah.
Justin, of course, is famous now.
Justin Robertson.
Yeah. Moon Boots. Ricky Moon's Boots. He started with. In fact, I got him the job there.
Did you?
Yeah. And he took over from me as being the nastiest man in the shop. And not only did he take over, he surpassed me in a big way. But yeah, that's way back in the day. But we were so busy all the time that it was a case of you didn't get 5 minutes. The only time I got was taking all the change, all the money to the bank down by Cheetham Mill. And used to take different routes every day. You're talking like 5 or 6 grand So I'd walk down in 2 Eastern Bloc bags, 2 empty record sleeves in there, filled with cash, and then come back with all the change that we needed for the rest of the weekend.
Did that ever get dangerous?
Not for me, it didn't, no, because I knew most of them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even going to go there with names because, not
Yeah.
without permission. So I wouldn't do that. But no, I used to go different routes just in case some chancer managed to go, hang on, he's going to the bank.
Yeah.
But nothing ever happened. Nothing ever came of it.
Yeah.
So no, it was. I always felt safe from in Eastern Bloc. It was cool.
Eastern Bloc was bigger, wasn't it? So like when you're saying 5 deep before, I
Yeah.
was thinking like you could only get so many in spinning, couldn't you?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was a
Eastern
lot bigger. A
Yeah.
lot bigger. And don't forget, they started upstairs in about '86 on a little stall in Affleck's, and then they got that shop downstairs opposite Identity, Leo's shop. And then from there, of course, they got the double place across the road.
Yeah.
One side was indie,
Yeah.
and then the other side was dance, and that was just chaos. That's the one. That's not the old shop is the one with the Laurent video, Laurent Garnier.
Yeah.
That's the old one.
Yeah.
And
we've got a flashing light, haven't we?
Yeah.
I don't know how to stop it for a
It's
second.
strobe. It's nice. It's a strobe.
Drop a pill.
Never. Not anymore. 1993 was the last time I did one.
I did one at the Warehouse Project the other month.
And?
I've not done it for 10 years.
Right.
To be totally honest, I didn't enjoy it.
Did it do anything? Was it?
Well, yeah. I kind of like made my teeth chatter a bit. But the Warehouse Project was too busy.
Ah, right.
So, and it's dark.
What, busier than the Hacienda ever was?
Yeah, from memory, it just felt a bit too full on.
Right.
And then I think I was enjoying it more before I took the pill. And so that, I mean, you just naturally grow out things, don't you?
Well, yeah. I don't drink anymore. Right?
Yeah, same here, yeah.
So.
Yeah. You never thought you'd see that day, would you?
Oh, Jesus, and neither did anybody else.
Yeah.
No, I mean, yeah. I remember the PFD T-shirts coming out, pump full of drugs, and you ordered one.
Yeah.
And I got given one of them straight off. It was like, you've got to wear this.
Yeah.
It was like, yeah, I'll put it on. But yeah, no. You just, I mean, your body will tell you when it's time. And mine told me it was New Year's Eve at Sankey's, and I stopped.
Yeah.
And that was it then. Well, it'll be New Year's Day. That was the last time.
I think a common thing, pardon me, for a lot of people was about 10 years. And then that seemed to be quite for a lot of...
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can hammer it and hammer it. We all did. As you know, back in the day, it was like you take your first one sort of...
Do you remember your first one?
Oh, yeah, of course I do, yeah. 25 quid.
That's a lot, isn't it?
3 days, though, of pure bliss.
Yeah.
It wasn't, there was no come down. There was no nothing. It was 3 days of bliss and then sleep.
Yeah.
And that was it. And then I slept for I don't know, a day and a half or something like that. And I was ready again.
Where did you do it?
I'm not going to say. Purely and simply because I'm not going to say.
Yeah.
Ibiza.
Yeah. Just like I mention it sometimes because hardly anyone says, "Oh, I dropped in the Hacienda my first one." It's always at someone's house or.
Absolutely. Well, the kitchen was famous for like people's firsts.
Yeah.
In the Crescents, that was famous for it, and you'd see all these loved up messes but they weren't gurners in those days because they were quite clean.
Yeah.
So all you got was big smiles, big eyes, and hugs all up from sweaty people, and that was it.
Yeah.
Me being one of them, probably.
Do you know what I find really interesting? And younger people won't know this or won't experience this, but you were either indie or almost like your football team on it. But a lot of people discovered house music.
Oh, and that was it then. Yeah. And then it changed sort of around in London, they had the Balearic beat scene.
Yeah.
With Rampling and Oakenfold and Andrew Weatherall and Terry Farley, Trevor Fung, all those people that discovered from Alfredo in Ibiza.
Yeah.
In sort of 88. and they brought that sound back to London. And the first proper Balearic DJ that we had up here was Justin Robertson.
Yeah.
And he created a whole scene up here, mashing anything he wanted. It was so eclectic. I mean, I remember Conspiracy Club, off my face at the end of the night, dancing to Life's What You Make It by Talk Talk, and thinking it was the finest record I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
I knew the song,
Yeah.
but it took on a whole new meaning at 2:30 in the morning. And there's me going nuts on the dance floor.
Yeah.
One more, Justin. Can't blame him. Come on. You know what you like, and you don't want the night to end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, but yeah, Justin, all credit to him. He started that whole thing. And Moon Boots and Jason Boardman have continued it ever since, really.
I know. I'll give him a shout out. I see Rough Doug at the gym quite a lot.
Right.
And they're putting an events on over the next couple of months.
Yeah.
And around sound systems and
lovely.
Moon Boots. He was saying he's the best Balearic DJ in the world, probably at the moment.
I would say so now, because Justin has moved on to he does a lot of like dub techno and strange dub acid, and his musical taste is unique.
Yeah.
And his what he creates is unique. But Moon Boots, he'll play any old shit.
Yeah.
Barbara Streisand. I've got to draw the line somewhere, and I do draw the line at Barbara Streisand. Not having that.
Can you remember when you got into house music though?
I can. It was I think it was something like Love Can't Turn Around or Jack Your Body or something like that. Yeah. And you could buy those House Sounds of Chicago records. Yeah. And I bought the first one of those. And I think it was Pickering who played it in 1987. It might even have been Dave Haslam, you know.
Yeah.
Who played it on Temperance, which was a Thursday, I think.
Yeah.
And I just went, he's playing Steve So Curly. And that for me then was just like, everything else is out the window. I rediscovered it years and years later, not house music, but indie music, purely and simply because you don't want to label anything anymore.
Yeah.
And if it's music and it's great, then it's music and it's great. It doesn't have to be under a little label somewhere in a record shop. It can be whatever you want it to be, really.
I did a video with Kate, who had the Roadhouse.
Oh, yeah.
And talk about the electric. I always get there with the electric chair.
Yes, yeah.
And then I asked her what type of music to play. And she had to think for a minute. And then that having to think for a minute was like, well, it all crossed over, didn't it? It wasn't one type.
Exactly right. Yeah. And that's, I tell you who's an unsung hero. Dave Booth.
Yeah.
Dave Booth.
Yeah.
He used to come into the shop and he would buy anything from like obscure indie right the way to the most banging techno that we were doing in the shop at the time. And he had a good ear and for anything. And he was a lovely guy as well. I mean, I remember sneaking into Pips when he used to play there.
Yeah.
I was only about 15, I think. So yeah. Put a bit of makeup on. Here you go. Yeah. Yeah. So I've always been sort of involved in music. And that was, for me, the reason that I had to work at Eastern Bloc. There's no qualms about it. I had to work in Eastern Bloc.
You know, Dave Booth he doesn't get mentioned a lot, does he? And I was just thinking then, Graham Massey sent me a picture and Dave Booth's in Eastern Bloc. And he was brilliant. Like right back to Pips, wasn't he?
Yes.
And then his Adorers.
Yeah. Well, Andy McQueen, who I'm going to take you to meet in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
He served Dave. But Dave would always hang around. He'd have his list of the indie stuff that he'd want. But he'd always hang around. And if he heard anything other than indie that he liked, because we sold an awful lot of hip hop in those days at Eastern Bloc. An awful lot.
That's the first record I bought was hip hop in there.
Really?
Yeah. I'm on the spot now. Waxmaster Tour.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Mine Price still does. And we used to think it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because we used to do, I think I was at school then, and we used to do impressions of him at school because he was off his head when he like he'd describe one record as having like a beefy bass, and then we're all.
Mine was absolutely one of the funniest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
I've not seen him for years, but I'd really be happy to bump into Martin. He was hilarious.
Yeah.
He used to write weird things on record sleeves, you know, that we put out. I remember Bauhaus, Belly Lugosi's Dead, and of course not Martin's cup of tea at all. And he put Belly Loose Hosepipe's Neck on it. And I picked it up, and me and Justin just could not do anything for laughing at all. We laughed solidly for about 15, 20 minutes. But that's Martin.
Yeah.
He didn't give a shit. Once it went out on the floor, on the shop floor, he knew that somebody was going to buy it eventually, so it would come back. He never told anyone, but then it'd come back and you'd see it there, and it'd be like, wow.
Did you ever take the piss out of customers?
Me, notorious, unfortunately. I was horrible. Well, I was the sort of, I coined the thing where, and John, to all his credit, John Berry went, everyone's got to do this from now on. DJs used to come in and just stand there and expect you to devote all your time. Well, you couldn't do that because we were that busy. So people would come in and I'd go, how much do you want to spend? And he'd go, 50 quid. Right, okay. Right. You've got these. And I used to have a pile of records and go, we'll work our way through these while I'm serving everyone else.
Yeah.
And you just put them at one side. And then you're going to have to hang back over there and just wait your fucking turn, basically. And or horribly, people have come up with something I didn't like. And go, what the fucking hell are you buying that shit for? Which is wrong, you know. But at the end of the day, you're fearless, aren't you? You don't care.
Yeah, but you kind of expected it, didn't you?
Well, in Eastern Bloc, you did eventually, yeah. I mean, Mick Power was terrible because he was such a gentle soul, but behind the counter, he turned into a monster. I've honestly almost reduced people to tears.
Yeah.
We had a thing of Alan McGee on the wall, and this guy came in, you know, and said, "Can I have that?" And Mick goes, "Tell me who it is." Anyway, it's James Reed from Jesus and Mary. He went, "Fuck off out. Get out now. Go on, fuck right off now." Because it was Alan McGee, who looked very much like he had the same sort of leather trousers and everything. But because he got it wrong, he was barred.
Didn't actually barred?
Oh, barred, yeah.
Yeah.
Couldn't come back in.
Russ and Kenny'd wind me up sometimes in spinning.
Oh, spinning, yeah.
Yeah, so you go in and then I'd say something and they had the music turned up and I go, I can't hear you. And I'd say it again and then I'd shout and they'd suddenly turn the music up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, record shops back in the day, and sort of, I don't know, 89 onwards, just became notorious. I mean, I've seen people sort of having to have a cig before they came in, you know. And you could smoke in the shop those days.
Yeah,
I used to smoke all the time behind the counter.
Yeah.
Always. Much to the annoyance of some of the punters.
Yeah.
We don't smoke. We'll fucking do now. Have some of mine for free. Idiot. Get out.
I remember it changing because I remember thinking, well, why are you taking me in there? Because it was very much like rockabilly and indie. And then, oh wow, they sell hip hop in it.
Yeah.
And then I can remember it like just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And and then I forgot when you said before, like, what's his name in Piccadilly? You ever got it?
Andy McQueen.
Yeah, I forgot that you still sold indie, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Even when it got...
Yeah.
And you had...
Well, don't forget, it was the height of Manchester as well. Madchester.
Yeah.
So a lot of that dance music was crossing over. You got like Phil's Gold and you got the Mondays and that, who created Manchester, by the way.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for them, that wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
And they used to go down to London and go to Shoom Club, and they were good friends with Jeff Barrett, who managed Andrew right up until Andrew's death. God bless him. And so they used to go down there to all the clubs, And then they got involved with like people like Oakenfold and Andrew Weatherall to do remixes, and that's how your Madchester thing came all about.
Yeah.
And then that was kind of Balearic.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the Balearic, Justin used to bang their tunes out, certain mixes. The Vince Clarke mix of Wrote for Luck is still,
Oh, it's amazing.
it's a brilliant tune.
He took it like I remember when I first heard the Happy Mondays. I'll be honest, I hated the mix. I hated his voice.
Oh, I loved it. Squirrel and G-Man.
He grew on me.
Oh, I love Sean.
Yeah.
Loved his lyrics. And I know what you're saying because all my mates, because they were all into the jangly nonsense, you know.
Yeah.
Which is sound, nothing wrong with it. And because I did like the Lars, I thought the Lars were awesome. Liverpool band, of course, but
Yeah.
yeah. And but I loved them right from the word go. I just thought they were so unique.
Yeah.
And Nathan, of course, their manager, Nathan McGough, was a very good friend of mine because when we were in Twang, we nearly signed to Play Hard Records, and they had Busby at the time and a couple of others, MC Busby, and they said, "Come on, come and join us." But we just gone with Ron Johnson Records in Nottingham, so I was pushing for that. I really wanted to go with them too.
Yeah.
But because it was Dave, Haslam, and Nathan McGough, they were the label bosses.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do that, but it didn't happen, unfortunately. But all happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Because not long after that, Dub Federation got started. So.
I remember that. Yeah, that when he said that before we started recording, he mentioned Dub Federation. Wow, that's a name I forgot about.
Yeah. Yeah, we did a lot of gigs in Manchester. Played a lot at some of the Balearic parties, Love Dot Party, Justin's Most Excellent played there. Played at the Hacienda with the Finny Tribe and in our own right as well a couple of times. So yeah, and that's when I left Eastern Bloc then, 1993. Don't get me wrong, I was still in every time we weren't playing anywhere. I was still in the record shop behind the counter, not in front of it, just going, "What have we got?" And I used to leave a big pile of our white labels, so right, shift these as well. Just give them to whoever you think might appreciate them.
Yeah.
Not just DJs. Play it a few times in the shop, maybe 3 times a day. Anyone who wants it, just give them one for now. Don't think they did. I think they just sold them. As you would. That'll go in my pocket. Didn't have to go through the till because it's like white label.
Did you get a lot of Russ told an amazing story about Nightmares and
Wax.
Yeah. Did anything like that happen at Eastern Bloc where people are just bringing their own records?
Yeah, Utah Saints first single. And
Did they?
Yeah, we tried to sign them on the spot. John, we played it upstairs and I went, "Go and get John."
Yeah.
Go and get John. And Dave Beer was the manager at the time.
Yeah.
Lovely guy. And but he wasn't there. It was just one of the kids from Utah Saints. And it was on orange vinyl. And it was a test pressing. A white label. And John went, "Do you want to come downstairs to the office? I was smoking." And he went, "Yeah, I can do, yeah." And John spent 2 hours trying to sign Utah Saints.
Yeah.
But they knew full well that we were going to get bigger and better things. We had K-Class, don't forget, as well.
Would K-Class on Eastern Bloc?
Yeah. The Rhythm is Mystery was on Eastern Bloc.
Did that
originally, yeah.
Yeah.
And then it went to Deconstruction after that because Mike Pickering used to go mental because they were desperate to put that out, but we were still shifting about 1,000 copies a week on our label, so we're not going to sign them until absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
So they put something in place whereby we couldn't press anymore, and even the band then said, "Come on, John, play the game." So they went to Deconstruction, and the rest is history for them. But yeah, lovely guys as well. There was about 4 of them at the time. I think there's only 2 now.
Where were they from?
Wrexham,
Yeah,
in Wales, because they supported 808 a couple of times.
Yeah.
And I went to see him at a rave because Eric Barker was then manager. I don't know if he still does or not, but he was their manager at the time. And Eric was Andy Barker's brother, Andy, God rest his soul, who was the DJ in Spin Masters and a part of 808 State. So yeah, Eric kind of said, "Look, that's it now, boys. You you can't put any more out.
Yeah.
Give them a break, or I'll give you a break, kind of thing.
Do you know what? That's something I completely forgot. Was that there was an Eastern Bloc Records label?
Yeah.
Is it still going?
No.
Yeah.
No. But I'd never say never, because John's got quite a good nose for money. Well, he's got a very good nose for money.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone who sells to Pete Waterman and then buys it back for less than Peter Waterman paid for it is pretty good.
Did he sell Eastern Bloc to Pete Waterman?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Which, the old one or the
new one across the way? Yeah, he sold that to Pete Waterman. Pete Waterman ran it for a while. Moon Boots was the manager then. We'd all left by then, but Moon Boots was managing it, and Pete Waterman used to take him out for a meal and this, that, and the other. And then eventually John made him an offer he couldn't refuse and got it back.
I did a video with John recently.
Oh, right,
he did it in his shop.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he said this year is 50 years of it.
Yeah.
Is it 50 or 40?
It'll be 50.
Do you know, a mad thing with getting older is that I can block out 10 years or something new.
Yeah.
So like a record might be like 20 years old and I'll think, yeah, that's a new track.
Yeah.
And then like, wow, 50 years.
Well, I'm 61 at the moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully getting older, but you never know.
Yeah.
But a lot of 88, 89 and 90 were a bit of a blur, really. I've got to say, certain things stand out, like Fantastic Nights will stand out, but everyday things, I don't remember much about it, to be perfectly honest.
That's why I like loving doing these videos as well, because no one gets the timeline right.
No.
Well, that's part of the fun. But some people do. And then as people remember little bits of things. Yeah. And as I'm going along, it's like, oh, mate, we're getting a bit of a timeline here. And
Well, Justin's first remix was on Eastern Bloc Records. It was Mad Jack's Feel the Hit. Yeah. And Mad Jacks were kind of an obscurish band in Manchester. And Justin turned it around. It was a huge club tune.
Yeah.
And then he did Yargo, Love Revolution, and then In Spiral Carpet. Well, In Spiral Carpets were funded by Eastern Bloc Records.
Were they?
Yeah, they came to the shared house one day when we and Martin and that lot were there, and Martin took them off upstairs with John and Anthony Boggiano, their manager at the time. And they financed all the T-shirts and stuff and the first recordings.
I remember that.
Pardon me, that's fuck T-shirts and all that. Yeah.
I discovered them. Well, my workmate Bod knew them. Knew Clint and someone else in the band, but I discovered them through.
It'd be Martin, because Martin, the bald-headed lad, the bass player, he ended up being their player-manager sort of thing as well.
Yeah.
Because we did a remix for In Spirals Club Federation.
Did you?
Yeah. We did 4 remixes for £1,000, which is, on mates rates, basically.
Yeah.
But it was good fun.
It was Dung 4 cassette. That was my introduction to
that. Yeah, no, that's right. And that would have been paid for by the block, that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, I bought it in Eastern Bloc.
Yeah.
And that was
with the moo on the front.
Yeah. To be totally honest, like I mean, the rave scene was incredible, but my best memories really of '89 was going in Lazy Lils and like that.
Never went.
I liked it, and Temperance as well.
Temperance was always good. Dave Haslam always had a very sharp ear, and he could flawlessly go from banging house music to disco to the most current indie to an old indie track, and the dance floor would stay exactly the same.
Yeah,
no one would move.
Yeah,
and that I liked that time, because really, in a way, I mean, Justin will kick my ass for this, but in a way, that was kind of the beginnings of Balearic Beat in Manchester, was Dave's stuff.
Yeah.
Because he was not scared. And I always remember, because Dave used to be really good friends with Morrissey. And Morrissey was in the DJ booth one time when Dave was playing. And Dave, I think he played some sort of heavy dub track. You can speed it up a touch, so that it'd work on the floor. And Morrissey actually turned around and said, Dave, white people will never like black music.
Did they?
And that was the time when Dave just went, oh, something's not right here.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yeah, it's a true story. Is that?
Yeah.
When you see Dave next, he'll tell you about it. And he was heartbroken because they were very good friends.
Yeah.
And of course, politics never raised its head at that particular point. It had done previously. Music was very political, as you know.
Yeah.
Right back to the Clash and well beyond. But I mean, during sort of, say, 85 onwards to about, well, from about 85, politics never really entered into music, I don't think.
Yeah.
Well, certainly didn't for me. And then I mean, I was never a massive Smiths fan. I loved Johnny, I loved his guitar playing, and I loved Mike, and I loved Andy. Morrissey's voice always was a bit whiny for me.
Yeah.
And lyrically, he was very good, unless you'd read Oscar Wilde, and then in which case he was just a complete, oh yeah, that's a good line, I'll write that down. And This Charming Man is basically Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
Condensed.
Yeah.
And all that I've jumped up Pantry Boy, Never Used Places verbatim.
Yeah.
From The Importance of Being Earnest. So, and then when the racist side, I mean, it's funny, we're having this discussion on St. George's Day, and I was in town last year, and you could not move for people dressed in Crusader outfits. And I remember seeing Muslim women hugging the children and trying to get them out of the way, and it was just horrendous. And you just look at Manchester and think, when did my city ever turn into this? So far this year, though, I've not seen anything, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But this time, I suppose.
So I always aim for around half an hour.
Yes.
And I always lose track of the time. And I always say this as well.
It's 22 now.
So I always like to end them with, like, pick a favourite track. And I'm going to say for you, like, pick a favourite track from working at Eastern Bloc.
Favourite track will be Wild Times by Delight.
Yeah.
Derek May remix.
Yeah.
By far one of my favourites. I'm going to have to give you another one as well.
Yeah.
Zorby Lamouche, William Orbit remix by Lainey Gresverter.
I don't think I've heard that.
Oh,
I'm going to have to play it on the way home.
Yeah, you are.
So I'll just stop recording now.
Thank you.